welcome to Decision Day Live presented by AT&T. We are here in this beautiful new studio at MLS Digital trying to somehow wrap our minds around an insane day. 11 games at the same time. It was impossible to watch them all. Thank you so much, ESPN, for your whip around show, because we would not have been able to follow this any other way. The drama, guys, the insanity. One team's in, then they're out. RSL, San Jose, and Dallas trading spots in the playoffs. Seeding out west went crazy. The East stays the same, but that doesn't mean there weren't insane results. How are you feeling right now? I'm just trying to process. I feel like a computer from 1985. I cannot get through it all.
I want Decision Day every weekend.
Yeah,
I really do. I want it every weekend. I want AT&T to put a lot of pressure on MLS to make that happen, because it was really enthralling.
Would you settle for 4 games at once instead of whatever we had?
I know.
Because that was too much.
It was a lot.
Is AT&T going to cover our TV costs? Are they going to put multi-screens in every MLS's fan's home?
Let me make some calls. Soccer everywhere, right?
Oh, man, What a crazy day. You predicted it, Jeff Stradamus, and then you got killed at the final.
Well, I didn't know he was going to put Arena in the last 5 minutes, and that they ended up being...
Marco Arena, the hero for San Jose. You saw the scenes out there. We'll get to those in just a little bit. Let's get right to the board and Kaylin and Susanna right now. You want to see the bracket. You want to see how this shakes out. The 2017 Audi MLS Cup playoffs are about to begin, guys.
Can I just say that we cannot have Decision Day every weekend, because I was stress eating my birthday cake, and I will be literally 50 pounds heavier if that were the case. It was bananas. So as you mentioned, this is the current playoff picture right now. It's crazy. Kaylin, let's take a look at the wild, wild west, shall we? We've got Houston hosting Sporting KC, Vancouver hosting the Quakes. Kaylin, I mean, this is so advantageous for Houston, obviously, but maybe a different story down here.
Yeah, you got to start off in San Jose with the scenes there. It was a wild one. Wondolowski, of course, leading the charge.
You called this, buddy.
Former club high school teammate, so I had a little bit insight into it. But I knew he was going to be big in this one. The emotion, the energy, and the presence of mind to pick his head up to find Arena on that last one. A lot of guys may have panicked, tried to just smash it. Picks out the pass. Huge for them. Now they feel good going up to Vancouver, where they just had a good result, 1-1 tie just last week to start them on this run.
That was a huge result for them.
Exactly.
Huge point.
And then when you look at Houston, now they're hosting a home game. And they just played against Sporting Kansas City twice within the span of the last 2 weeks.
You got good results there, too.
Beat them at home and then on the road. So I give Houston the edge in this one as well.
Okay, well, we're going to get more into these matchups, but first let's look at how crazy it was today. We had that 6th seed changed 7 different times today. It was nuts. 4 in the first half, 3 changes in the second half. Like I said, I couldn't keep up. I wish you could have seen the scenes of all of us watching these games all at once, because it was chaos.
It was wild. A goal here, goal there. Who's up, who's down? You have to be able to follow the standings. But that's what Decision Day is all about.
It is. It's the beauty of Decision Day, baby.
It is. You see it. 7 changes. 7 changes. And we go back and forth. Dallas feel like, you know what? We had a terrible season, and all of a sudden we figured this thing out at the final frontier here. Minnesota was playing spoiler. But San Jose, despite that negative 22 goal differential, it's now negative 21, Jimmy, so that's a little bit better.
They should be proud.
They're in. They're slapping hands with their fans.
I think that was a real microcosm of their season. You know, they had good spells, but then they played pretty poorly. They gave away some goals that I thought were preventable. And now we'll see what they do. They got that momentum, which is an intangible that might carry them past Vancouver. But I think once they run into Seattle, let's
not get ahead of ourselves, but it was a microcosm of their 2012 season. It felt like Goonie time with that. I mean, 3 minutes into stoppage, they got a goal just from lumping it long. Victor Bernardes with a brilliant little header in the box.
What do you call a header through ball?
I mean, it was like a threader. It was like a threader. It was awesome. And this first goal from Houston was very nicely taken as well. He had a big game. Wando had a big game. Urania had a big game. The 3 guys who get paid to score goals got the goals.
Hey, look, DP's and TAM. That's what's up.
And those are the type of goals that you need to get in the playoffs. They're effort goals. Getting in the right spot, banging the ball across the goal mouth, and trying to finish it.
And this is where you start to see both teams go back and forth. This is your right back. And hello in the top corner. What a hit with his left foot on this play. And Minnesota's thinking, you know what? We're not going to the playoffs. That's okay. We know. We'll play spoiler. And they thought they did until the very last second. But this is Wando. This is Wando at the back post. This is Wando doing what he does.
Wanda
with
the
open
Jedi
space.
Knight. I have no idea how he makes defenders forget he exists.
That was a fantastic ball.
Oh, it was wonderful.
Fantastic.
And that is a little bit of something.
It's hard for me to watch these because the defending on some of this is just, I can't. It's like, look away, kids.
You're telling me
this is a game that you have to win, at least in San Jose's perspective, and some of the lack of energy to close the ball down or a sense of urgency.
Here's the game winner, and you can see they've got numbers forward.
Oh,
look at that little through ball, and he spills it, but Wando gets his head up, and just the nice little slip. Wow.
It seems like Wando actually does. He feints like he's going to shoot.
Wow.
Watch Wando. He looks like he's going to shoot, and that commits Mark Birch to go down to the ground, and that leads a better passing lane.
And you'll see here, this is the angle. This might have been saved.
Yeah.
Oh, the deflection pokes it in the corner, and that is the margins. From the 3rd minute today to the 93rd, we had 7 changes in the Western Conference for number 6, the playoff team that would sneak their way in, and it would be San Jose. They're hugging on the ground. Their fans are going insane.
If you're an FC Dallas fan and a U.S. men's national team fan, like Marco Urain is not getting a Christmas card.
No.
Not getting one.
I'm tired of seeing
Marco Urain
happy.
happy.
He has just scored some murderous goals this year.
It feels like every joke we make goes back to the U.S. But let's move on. It's playoff time now. 2017 Audi MLS Cup playoffs are here. Wednesday and Thursday are the knockout round matches. You can watch those on Unimas. Some great matchups for you here. Out in the West, Vancouver hosting San Jose, as Kaylin and Susanna turned you on to. Houston and SKC on the other side. The other 2 teams that dropped out. Dallas guys, they win big against LA, who looked just god-awful in this game. But Jeff, this is an emotional moment right now for Oscar Pareja. You guys were on the other side last year. You didn't handle your business, and yet you got through. This time around, Dallas goes out and gets it done, but it doesn't matter because of late drama.
Yeah, there's nothing you can say that can make these players feel better in this situation. Both teams took care of business. Every home team took care of business, and that's what you need to do, but there could only be one.
I thought Clement Jacques was going to be FC Dallas MVP there for a little bit. Like, he looked like he wanted to decide.
He got his black belt. He moved up from the orange belt to the black belt.
By the way, we have Oscar Pareja with Mariano Trujillo out in Dallas. Let's go to that interview right now.
Oscar, disappointing result, not here, but in San Jose. You guys did what you needed to do, but it wasn't enough.
It wasn't, and Mariano, at the end is the result of many opportunities that we had here at home just to finalize the job and do it better. At the end is what it is. We will take this experience for sure.
What is next for FC Dallas? It's one of the teams in the MLS that works with their academies. What is next for this franchise?
Reevaluation. I think the model is working. I think the boys are doing a good job on just putting many things together with the academy and the players. At this time, we need to sit down and reevaluate many things. I think it's a year full of experiences that it will help the group.
Coach, thank you very much.
Oscar Pareja, disappointed. They get the job done, Ali, but it's not enough. But ultimately, you can point to the second half of the season. We beat this drum over and over and over since July. When you win one time in the matter of 3 or 4 months, when it's money time, you're not going to make it in, but the project, that's what they're still holding true to. What do you do now? How do you approach the offseason?
Well, I think you have to look at, the different things that did go well during the season. And you're looking at their academy and how they can implement those players within their first team, and that's a positive. If you wait till the last game of the season, you don't always turn out on the right side of the line. So it's a tough result, and they'll take that and that pain that they feel going into the offseason and try to make some changes and right the boat a little bit so that they can have a good season next year.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with FC Dallas. Meanwhile, RSL got the result that they wanted against Sporting Kansas City. It wouldn't matter in the end. Doyle, I'm going to ask you here if we're going to see a Mike Pecky rant, because that's a 1-point difference. And, actually, Dallas didn't make it through, so this is the insanity of the day. It doesn't even matter. So, in the end, they're just on the,
I'll rant at Mike Pecky. I think Pecky did a great job once he took over, and certainly down the stretch. It goes back to last week for me. They lobbed in 50 crosses against that Colorado back line, and he never brought on his center forward. Putting David Horst up front. David Horst has 5 goals in 12,000 MLS minutes. That does not cut it for me. He's no Jimmy Conrad. And I know Yoram Sisian had a tough year, and he came into camp out of shape, and he never really got it. But He didn't have to defend last week. He just had to stand in the box and try to get a foot on the ball and put it into the net. That's when they lost this spot.
Here are the highlights from Rio Tinto Stadium. Some shocking defending for Sporting Kansas City, who are now in the 5th seed. For the 4th straight year, they will go on the road in the knockout round. The last 3 haven't been kind. They've been knocked out in the knockout round. A lot of ball watching here, Jimmy.
I would also say a little bit of being unlucky. You know, they had more than enough guys to make the play here. Beasley, though, ended up giving up the ball earlier, so he was already out of position. And I think it starts there where nobody collapsed in and just forced the ball wide. They let it come in the middle.
Isn't this, at this point, isn't it a pattern with Sporting KC? The second half of the year, Sporting flat, man.
Is there a reason for that? Do we point to training habits? Do we point to the style of play? Do we point to, I don't know. There's got to be something in commonality.
I mean, it's for here. It's not a lack of effort. I mean, they're trying to get across. They're trying to make plays. But if you're diving to save a goal a couple times or to slide to try to block stuff, then you're already out of position. Somebody's made a mistake somewhere. And so it seems like maybe 1 or 2 guys aren't living up to their expectations.
It's never one thing. But RSL did come out more aggressive, and
they wanted it more.
We're really putting them under pressure. When you put teams under pressure, you get mistakes being made. But then Kansas City turned it around and started to get at RSL, and Nicky Raimondo was doing what he does.
What are they saying in the locker room, Jeff? In that RSL locker room right now? What do you imagine that scene to be like?
I imagine they're taking a lot of positives away from what happened during the year. They're not talking about missed opportunities, and I think they're heading in the right direction. And it's going to be a difficult next 3 weeks, but it's also very promising. They have a lot of young talent, and they're all tied up right now. But I would say they need to sign Kyle Beckerman. They need to make sure Tony Beltran and Nick Raimondo are tied up because they're free agents right now.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Free agency coming up. So much will go down in the MLS offseason. Audi 2017 MLS Cup playoffs come first. Decision day presented by AT&T was so much fun. Mike Pecky, we talked to him after the match. Let's throw it out to Salt Lake City.
Coach, great result here. You guys have had a heck of a season. You must be very proud of your guys. How proud are you of everyone?
Listen, I'm extremely proud. The journey we've been on. The first game, April 8th, my first game here, winning their first win in the snowstorm. Going to the bottom of the league, to be honest with you, before the break. I think we were at the bottom of the league, and for them to turn around from July and do what they've done, be one of the best team, if not the best team in the league since then. I'm extremely proud of them. I know the organization's proud of them. I know the supporters here are proud of them. And now we look forward to next year on what we can build on this.
Yeah, you guys have a lot of young talent, a lot of exciting things to look forward to. What's in store for next year?
A little rest right now, and more of the same is what we're expecting. We have young, hungry guys. We have exciting players. We could score goals. Our defense is shored up. So next year, I'm planning on some big things.
Awesome. Well, good luck. We can't wait to see.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Brittany. Good stuff out there in Salt Lake City. Mike Pecky still, chipper after a day in which you think he could be a little bit disappointed. I'm sure they want to be in the playoffs, but they'll have to wait until 2018. Let's look at the top of the Western Conference, that big match out in Portland between the Timbers and the Whitecaps. That would determine who got home field advantage, who got first. It would be Portland. Last year they got worked over in Vancouver 4-1. We saw Caleb Porterface on display, Matt. But this time around, Vancouver, after being, let's say, full of talk about 5 weeks ago when they were on top of it, they dropped this result, and all of a sudden they drop all the way down to the 3 seed, while Portland get that home field all the way through to MLS Cup.
Yeah, I mean, the Caps social media people definitely chirped a lot about how well they were playing when they had 6 or 7 at home. And then we said, all right, guys, let's see what happens when you end with 4 or 5 on the road. And they dropped. I think they lost 3 of their last 5. They got maybe a draw in there as well. And they had a lead in this one. They gave it up almost immediately with that bit of goalkeeping, which maybe we can get Mr. Cassar to comment upon in a minute. And they just, honestly, it felt like
Ridgy roll! Got a Ridgy roll. Gotta love that.
It felt like the better team won in this one. I don't think there was much doubt about that.
Yeah, let's go right to Ridgewell after this. But this is the goal. This is just an opportunistic finish from Darren Maddox, and he's gotten a lot of heat for his finishing at times. He's been inconsistent in that area. He opens up space for his teammates, but it doesn't matter. He's going to cut 2 logs in Portland, and they're going to be number 1 seed in the Western Conference. Of course, Toronto FC, as Supporters Shield winners, will host MLS Cup if they make it that far. Speaking of Ridgewell, Ridgy rolls. He talked to us after the match. Let's go to that right now.
Liam, you guys secure the top spot in the Western Conference. What does it mean?
Yeah, it's massive. Obviously, we didn't want to go into the playoffs playing a playoff game. So, that top spot has given us a lot of confidence, and bringing on the playoffs, we're looking forward to it.
You go into halftime 1-1.
Yeah.
Then Maddox comes right out and gives you guys the go-ahead goal. Can you take me through the emotions of this game?
Yeah, it was obviously big for us. Obviously, playing at home, we wanted to win the game. Vancouver are a very good side, very difficult to play against. And, going into half-time, we were glad we got back to 1-1. And obviously, we wanted to come out quick and start fast. And Darren got the goal. And, we kicked on from there. We could have had, 3, 4, 5, but it wasn't to be.
Liam, you've got 1 week now to prepare. What did you see today that this team has to work on?
It meant a lot. It showed the confidence in the boys in fighting back. Normally we score first at home and we go on to win very comfortably. So, it was good to, maybe go down a goal and then come back from it, and, showed how the group has grown over the years. So, look forward to the playoffs.
Liam, we'll see you in the semifinals.
Thank you.
Guys, back to you.
Congratulations to the Portland Timbers, a massive win at home. That's a little bit of revenge for last year, trying to get back to MLS Cup, and now, Jimmy, they got the tools to do so. What do you see in this team? Do they have that same sort of potential, even without Fernando Adi playing a role in this game?
Yeah, they do, of course. I think they fought and battled to get to top of the table in the West. They tied on points with Seattle, but they also won the Cascadia Cup, and I want to give them some love for that. So there was some added incentive there. So for them to go down a goal to one of their rivals and come out ahead, I think is a testament to what they're made of. I would say, though, that things tighten up in the playoffs. And when Darlington Nagbe doesn't get the same type of space, when Valeri's not going to get the same type of space, I want to see how they try to figure it out and how do they try to solve things. Today they had some good attacking forays going forward that didn't include those two players, and I think that's a positive sign.
Diego Valeri, no goals? Oh, go ahead.
I would just to piggyback on that. That was a playoff game. That was a playoff atmosphere. The fans came out and really supported Portland in an unbelievable way. They went down, then they fought back. They won the game. Portland's got something there. They really have something there that's special, and I think they're going to take this game, and it's going to help them when they get in the playoffs.
But I'll say this. They played that first game on the road, and they're not known as being a great road team.
Most teams aren't known for being
That's true. That's fair. But then they just have to minimize that first road game, because we've seen in the past that if you give up 2 or 3 goals, like Seattle scored over Dallas last year, it's just almost impossible to overcome, no matter even if you have that.
Yeah, the thing about that, though, is you do still have a really strong nucleus that was on that 2015 MLS Cup champion team, and so these guys are going to know how to perform in the playoffs in difficult moments.
Yeah, what they're going to have to shore up is set play defending. It's 2 goals in that game. As you guys said, it really starts to tighten up, and that needs to be cleaned up.
Yeah, Kendall Waston skying. That's what he does. He got the goal. It was not enough. For the Vancouver Whitecaps, they go all the way down to third. They will take on San Jose, a team they drew 1-1 at home against in the knockout round on Wednesday or Thursday. Check MLSsoccer.com or the MLS app for all those schedules as we get there. Let's start with Kaylin and Susanna. They can talk about the Kaylin Carr Bowl. That would be, Houston and Chicago.
How do you feel about that label, the Kaylin Carr Bowl?
I don't think that's going to catch on.
No,
unfortunately.
No, come on.
Kaylin Carr Classico?
Let's work.
I like the alliterations. I like the alliterations. It's good. Galen, honestly, this could have been a worse result for Chicago. They ended up securing that third place. They're going to be able to host in the knockout round, which is good, but I don't know. I'm not feeling great about their performance in this. And I also just think credit to Houston, who really came out, and they've been on a tear lately.
Well, the guys were talking about set pieces. You're looking at one right here, not your traditional set piece, but a long throw in gets them on the board early in the match. Houston came out strong, and honestly, I think this comes from playing a home and away leg essentially in playoff mode against Sporting Kansas City just last week. This team was primed for it. Then gets going forward. This is one to watch here. Kyoto with a beautiful burst and goal. But he comes up a little bit lame here, starts holding his hamstring with a game coming up midweek. That is one to be concerned about for Houston. But again, Wenger comes through. Beautiful finish on the back post. Minota's pulling his best Wondolowski impersonation. But Houston, to me, I think is in a good spot. A little bit of a mental edge on Sporting, but I think there may be reason to be concerned about Chicago.
A little bit. What happened with the Fire today? Because you mentioned it. Houston looked like they were playing in a playoff game today. Chicago, not so much. And so what do they have to do to be ready for these knockout rounds?
Well, they are hosting the game, so I think that is going to be a welcome sight. Toyota Park has been a fortress for them. Nikolic has scored, I think, the majority of his goals at home. And they're doing it against a familiar foe. I think Dax McCarty against his old club match will be an interesting one. Maybe we can get Ali's thoughts on
Ooh, he's sitting right there. Let's put him on the hot seat.
I think Dax will be fine. You know, he's a veteran player. He knows what he's doing. This will be a big moment for the Chicago Fire. They haven't been in the playoffs in a while. They are kind of backing into the playoffs with the results recent, and especially today. But they'll be just fine. They've got to come out there, and Dax will get his guys going. Pano will get his guys going. But it should be a good game. You know, Red Bull. Everyone's got something to play for.
Red Bulls certainly do. In the 6th seed this time around, the pressure is not on them. The expectations not on them. Maybe that will benefit them in the playoffs. We'll see how it goes. Chicago, New York is a matchup in the East. I'm going to go back to the West to Seattle, who finished in the 2nd spot because of Vancouver's stumble. They will get a bye. They will not have Clint Dempsey, it looks like, guys. They beat Colorado. Great result for them. But an elbow, Doyle, means that we may not see Clint Dempsey going into these first leg, maybe 2 legs. We don't know. We'll have to see.
And you can see him jostling with, this is the goal from Will Bruin right here. Will Bruin 200, throw it up. But you could see Dempsey sort of jostling with the on the first run, and he gives him the finger wag, saying, no, that's gonna, if you come again, you're gonna get the elbow, and that's what happened. So it's premeditated. I don't think there's any doubt about that. It was high. It was intentional. I think Clint Dempsey's going to be gone for a while. I think we've probably seen the last of him in 2017 because that can't be nothing. That has to be. Let's interview Jimmy Conrad's jaw and see what.
Of things I try to forget. This is one of them. But yes, Clint Dempsey broke my jaw back in 2006. I was wired shut for 8 weeks. So yeah, it's quite familiar with Clint's elbow, and he has a tendency of throwing elbows very loosely. That one, as you said, looked premeditated, and I would be surprised if that was only a 1-game suspension. And then he does some taunting at the end to the ref, the clapping, and then, if he just kind of takes it and owns it and walks off, that's one thing, but to continue to add weight to it.
They almost played with a little bit of freedom after he left, though. It became Ladero's team almost completely. And
Isn't that what happened last year when Clint was hurt?
It kind of was. So, but now suddenly we're talking about a lot of talent that Seattle are missing. It's not just Dempsey, it's Alonso, it's Gustav Svensson. This is how do you even scout them, Jeff? I have no idea.
It's difficult, going back to Clint. He for all the positives he gives you with his energy and grit. He can do that, and then it can cost you and set your team back. But listen, they're loaded. They really are loaded, and they have a lot of weapons up top. They can move some things around, and they'll be playing at home, which will be extremely beneficial for whoever's on the field. So I think they have a nice path for themselves.
I think one of the toughest part about the incident with Clint is now it becomes a bit of a distraction. You actually are waiting to see what the disciplinary committee says about if he's going to have extra games or not, and that just becomes a distraction in an environment, in a time where you really just need clarity in terms of direction and what you're doing in the playoffs.
This is not the first time something like this has happened. You think back to the Open Cup, that card that got torn up, or the notebook that got thrown in the air. Classic. We'll see what happens. Yeah, classic. We'll see what happens with Clint Dempsey. That's a big one. Remember, they won MLS Cup last year without him, but they did have Jordan Morris at that time. Maybe they go back to the defense.
Will Bruin.
Yeah, Will Bruin 200. We'll see about that one. Now, let's talk Eastern Conference. We'll go to the board. Kaylin and Susanna, show me the lay of the land.
All right, so as you mentioned, we talked about the West, but let's focus in on the East here. We already sort of got into Chicago hosting the Red Bulls. It's going to be a lot to watch in this one. But let's talk about Atlanta. Let's talk about this Atlanta team. Kaylin, on our show, you have said all along that Atlanta could be the team to upset the big dogs. Yes. TFC. And as you look at how this has played out, them taking on Columbus, how do you think that's still possible?
Well, I wouldn't overlook Columbus, but it's hard to think Atlanta not going to be able to get through a knockout round at home, especially in light of Almiron's return. He played the last 30 minutes subbed on and looked really lively, was able to really get involved, had that burst that he's known for. But I think you were able to see a preview of Atlanta-Toronto, which to me is going to be the best potential matchup of the MLS Cup playoffs. These two teams don't like each other. Big stars on both sides. You could see Martinez kind of like getting his pose on, and then Josie and Javinko, obviously.
Oh, man.
I think they wanted to kind of leave a message out to the other team.
Did you see Josie's reaction to the goal when they threw the cup on the field?
Yeah,
he tried to.
He did, and then
headbutt it, and then Javinko picked it right up.
A little sip himself. So,
I'm kind of cheering. Nothing against Columbus because we love them too. But that would be a juicy matchup to see. I don't know. But let's talk about Columbus, guys, and their result today against NYCFC.
Zach Steffen. Great game today.
He saved the crew today.
You like that? You like that? Look, David Villa had an opportunity to go grab the MVP, perhaps, and Zach Steffen stood in his way, but he got a couple goals in this one. Crew SC will go on the road. It's just a tough matchup for them, and I just feel like it's a bad matchup for them with the forwards that Atlanta have.
I understand what you're saying, and like that's sure. Look, Atlanta's attack is a bad matchup against anybody, but Columbus were like cool and composed, playing through the NYCFC pressure today in a way that they hadn't been earlier in the year. I was like,
wait, can we pause? Because this ball by Higuain is breathtaking.
That is
next level.
Yeah. I mean,
that's the finish by Cassar is great too.
But 6 inches over the defense.
It's a number 10's vision.
Unbelievable.
Right there.
But right, carry on, Matt.
But the question with Columbus against high-pressure teams is always, can you play through it? And today they were. Now, they also had Mo Abu alone marking David Villa for some reason.
David Villa should never win headers in the 6-yard box on a corner kick. That should just never happen.
I mean, that is kind of criminal.
Stating the facts here.
If any team can go into Atlanta and get a result of the teams that are left in the playoffs, it's Columbus. You know, they have the ability to score several different ways and cause problems. He's going to have to make that save, though, against Atlanta.
Yeah. He made up for it. I mean, he saves a penalty later in the game. We'll get to that highlight, but yes, this is not good.
He had a number of like special saves in the second half, but like that's the danger of having a young keeper. You don't know what you're going to get from one moment.
And here's one of the weaknesses for NYCFC: set piece defending.
Yeah, I mean,
they scored on it, but you just let Josh Williams get all up in your business. And put that in the back of the net. Does this team face a similar fate to last year, Doyle? They got worked. They got whooped.
I don't think they're as bad as they were last year. They missed Chanot. I mean, that's Brian, who is Chanot's replacement. They're a different team with Chanot in there, and they kind of showed it. But that's what Columbus have done well. When they beat the Red Bulls at 3-2 a couple of weeks back, I think all 3 goals were off set pieces. They've quietly become, other than I think Vancouver, probably the most dangerous attacking team on set pieces.
What kills me about set pieces is that you work on them in training, and Jeff can speak to it, and all you guys can. And you go through the motions, I think, in training, because nobody really wants to go up and use elbows and get the headers and all that stuff. But then it comes down to concentration. In a game, it's nothing more than concentration and being willing to put yourself between the ball.
Battles.
Yeah, it's individual battles.
Individual
and I hate saying it like that because it's a cliche to a certain extent, but that's what we see all the time. It has nothing to do with skill or talent or your physicality or whatever it may be. It's just a desire to want the ball more than the other guy that you're marking.
And stay focused for 90 minutes.
It's crazy. It's crazy that there's so many breakdowns on set pieces so consistently throughout the league.
David Villa took advantage. He and a couple others, including Diego Valeri, were fighting for that MVP. Did you see enough from him, Ali, to push him back into that conversation? Did you see enough from him to think he's back where he needs to be the difference maker this team so desperately needs?
He's in the conversation for sure. He's David Villa.
I mean, but it's a short conversation.
He's just an unbelievable.
He's in it, but Diego Valeri is the MVP.
Agreed. He agreed. I mean, Valeri has had
especially
a great
since they won the Western Conference.
But he's in the conversation if we're having a conversation. But ultimately, I think it's Valeri.
Caleb Porter's not having a conversation. He thinks it's his guy. I expect we have sound from him out in Portland after the Timbers knocked off Vancouver.
Well, I think he's the best player in the league this season, over 34 games. And I think when you also factor in Fernando Adi, he's been out 10 games for us. He's had to carry a lot of the load, him and Blanco in particular. But he scored in 9 straight games, right?
Yeah.
And he did that in a time where we needed him to step up because we had a lot of injuries. And, in a lot of ways that period put us in this position that we're in. And, might have saved the season because we had a lot of adversity, a lot of injuries. And for me, I credit the entire team, the depth. But he's the one on the score sheet, scoring a lot of those goals. And if we don't get those goals, we don't get points. And and then we're on the outside looking in. We always know at the end of the year when we get healthy, our form's going to come. But what he means for our team, or meant to our team over the regular season, and just the quality and his production. I mean, I don't know that I even need to sell him. I mean, look at the production, look at the goals, and then look at we're the best team in the West. So, he's the guy that scored 20 goals and 11 assists on the best team in the West.
Caleb Porter doesn't know if he needs to sell Diego Valeri, but he just spent like a minute and a half doing so. That's what's up, man. I think he's probably the MVP. The ballots are out. We'll see who wins that and some of the other individual awards in MLS in due time. But the best team in the league, guys, no doubt, Toronto FC. We knew that. It was a back-and-forth game in Atlanta. It had a bunch of highlights. Kaylin and Susanna mentioned that moment for Josie Altidore. He and Michael Bradley booed for most of this game over the U.S. national team's exit from World Cup qualifying. But they showed us they have a little fight, Ali, and they showed us they still have that spunk. They haven't backed down. This is still the same team we saw all year. Now they go in the playoffs. They got an opportunity to rest, recharge, figure out who they're playing, and I think they're going to be the favorite in any series they're in.
Yeah, they're certainly going to be the favorite, but it's the MLS playoffs. It's anything can happen on any given night. I don't know the last time the Supporters Shield has made it all the way in one MLS Cup. It's been some time, so it'll be a tough series. I mean, the great thing about the game that we saw tonight was the fact that these guys were going at it like heavyweights. It was a heavyweight fight, and they have the passion, they have the fight. They're going to win the Supporters Shield whether they win, lose, or draw, and they went after it. So it was a great game.
Drew Moore.
Hold on one second. Let's take a look at where they rank before we get into more of this. There was a penalty. You mentioned Drew Moore, that handball. That might have changed this result. It might have gotten them to 70 points. They did not make it there, though. 69. That is still the record in MLS. A new record tied with the Sounders for most wins. Did not quite get there on goal differential and points per game, but one of the best seasons, if not the best regular season in regular season history from Toronto FC. Doyle, I'll let you pick up where you left off.
Yeah, Drew Moore, who we all know is rock solid and has been for more than a decade in this league, he had a shocker today. He had a very, very bad game from a guy of his experience and his talent. I mean, do you worry a little bit about that if you're Toronto FC, that maybe he doesn't match up well against this Atlanta team?
I don't worry about it just because I know Drew personally, and I think he's a guy that can rebound from a bad performance quickly. But, what's crazy is both teams are going to watch video on this, and it's not going to be the same game. They're going to try to find, Tata's going to try to find different ways to get at them, and it's going to be a completely different game.
I wanted to hear Josie as soon as he faked that header on the cup. By the way, before we get to the interview, don't throw anything on the field. Don't be an idiot. Come on now. Let's go to that Josie interview right now.
Thanks, guys. Josie, a lot of up and down over the last year, club-wise, national team-wise. But today, with this tie, you set the record for the best regular season in MLS history. What does that mean to you? What does that mean to this club?
Oh, it's a nice memento for sure. You come here to try to push the envelope and do something great for Toronto FC, for the league, and to be a part of the team that done that is fantastic. But there's still so much to play for now.
Atlanta, the darlings of this season. Was there an element, a chip on the shoulder for you guys to want to come here and maybe drop them down a little bit?
That wasn't our task today. Our task was to come in. Obviously, we're close to the record, try and do that, and also see potentially a playoff team. A team we can face down the road. And it was a great experience. We have a great fan going here in Atlanta, and it's a great sign for soccer in our country.
So, Supporters Shield on Canadian Championship, the points record, 15 goal scorers for the first time ever in club history. MLS Cup. How can this team get it done?
Yeah, it's a different season now, right? So it's its own mini season. We're gonna have to be on top of our game for sure. We're gonna have to be better. We need to improve a little bit. And you need a little bit of luck, man. You still need a little bit of luck even at this level, and hopefully we can get it done.
Well, hopefully we'll see you in cold Toronto on December 9th.
Hopefully so, man.
Congratulations.
All right, thanks, man.
December 9th, that would be the date if Toronto FC wanted to defend, or I should say win, because they didn't win that one. It kind of, the cold didn't jog my memory there. But here you see the highlights. This is where they get the bread and butter for Atlanta, Ali. And you talked about the run that Joseph Martinez makes, but it's Villalba opening it up, and it's this hard run between the center backs. He's so good at this. I think the best in MLS.
Yeah, I mean, just an incredible ball, Gosh, that'll
kill your train of thought.
That's Van Gogh right there.
Sebastian Jovinko is an assassin.
That's a cheat code goal, man. It really is. But that Joseph run, but just hitting that gap between the center backs time and time.
And it was not just the run, it was also the ball. Yeah. And so those guys have had 33 games at that point to really get that chemistry, get that execution, and you saw it tonight.
And I think that's something Toronto's going to have to address. As you said, they're going to watch the video, and they make crisscross runs. They try to time things, and if Drew Moore has the experience that we all know that he does, I think he makes adjustments and tries to get to that space.
They played a back four. Right. They didn't play their 3-5-2 or their 5-3-2. If you want, they played a back four. I think Greg Vanney was having a little bit of fun there.
Yeah. He didn't want to show all his cards.
Yeah, right. And which is, I would have done the same thing if I was him.
When you talk about the playoffs and you talk about set pieces and goals and those are effort goals. He's going to make that run to the near post. You've got to get into a position where he's not going to touch that ball, or if he does, he's going the other way. So those are things you're going to have to address going into the playoffs.
So good at avoiding that little bump that might throw him off. Joseph Martinez, he will tear you up if you let him. You mentioned kind of hiding those cards. Well, 71,874 might have seen him if they'd shown him. Another record attendance for Atlanta United. The second this year. I was there when they took on Orlando. It is an incredible, incredible venue, and that crowd is into it. The entire game. Miguel Almiron is back, as Kalen said. This is a game changer, Jeff, for this team. He had something. He had a little burst to him. We didn't know if he'd had that with the hamstring injury.
Yeah, I think his first touch, we were like, oh, he's got that burst. But again, it's good that he got some minutes in this game, and then you expect him to play a massive role in the next game that they play.
Do you start him? That's the big question.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah.
You got to go for it.
34 games, you're at the spot.
It's do or die.
Yeah, if you're out, you're out. He's got to play him for sure.
What's their ceiling? With Almiron now back, Doyle, what's the ceiling of this
team? If he's
team?
Healthy and Gonzalez Perez, who didn't play today, and he's available throughout the playoffs, this is a team, I think they're at worst the third best team in the league, and more likely they're the second best team in the league just ahead of NYCFC. But I do worry about Gonzalez Perez in the playoffs because yellow card accumulation, maybe some of those breakaway fouls that he's been getting away with, maybe that doesn't happen once they hit the postseason.
They will get a home game. That's going to be a lot of fun to see that in the playoffs. Montreal Impact, their season was over, but we said goodbye to Patrice Bernier, one of the classics in this league. Kalen Carr, I know you have a special place in your heart for him. Give us a fitting tribute to the man, the myth, the legend, the Quebecois.
The people's champ, yeah, Patrice. I think we talked about trying to send him out in style. Obviously, New England ends up on top on this one, but fantastic reception from the crowd. I think being a local Quebecois kid makes it a little bit different as far as him coming up. He played with the Impact before they went to MLS. In the beginning of his career, just out of Syracuse University. Here he is stepping up, cool as you like. Patrice, always the cool customer. Grew up playing hockey as well. Was in the development system. Could have gone to the NHL potentially. People were talking about his talent there, but stuck with soccer. Went abroad, came back to MLS at the beginning of their introduction into MLS for the Impact, and hopefully will be a part of them going forward. I'm sure a huge resource for that club as they look to build forward and develop the next generation.
He's also just one of the nicest guys you will ever meet in your
Absolutely.
life. What an absolute joy to interview him. Always gives you such candid answers, really, really thoughtful. He's just a tremendous individual,
Yeah.
Andrew Wiebe.
He is. I hope they find a place in the front office for him.
I think he's going to be an academy coach. I think
Perfect.
U14
That'd be
or U15.
wonderful.
Yeah, is what I heard. Yeah.
Teach those young men how to play with the old man's strength. In the midfield, guys, before we go to break, we'll be there in just 1 second. RFK, the final game for MLS today. A good one for DC United, not so good for the Red Bulls at times. But they had the Legends game before. We saw a lot of guys that we've seen over the years, the Marco Echeverries of the world, even the Freddie Adus of the world in this game. Ali, you did us the honor of joining us here in the new MLS Digital Studios for Decision Day Live presented by AT&T. You could have been there. Did you have any feelings today as it went out, or have those already passed?
I think it was a great day for RFK Stadium, for DC United. It's for the fans, for ownership, for the players. A real hallmark event. You got a lot of guys that used to wear that jersey. They came back, they played, and it'll be a launch pad for them to go into the new stadium. So they didn't get the result that they wanted to, but it was a great day. To celebrate DC United, celebrate RFK. Good times.
Freddie Adu scored a goal today. I just want to put that out there. Also, there was so much going on that after Paul Arriola scored, I just assumed DC won. That wasn't the case. 2-1 Red Bulls. Here are those Legend Game highlights. That's a banger.
That is.
What?
Was
what
that Jamil Walker?
Goal. Jamil Walker with the right-footed lash.
Oh, my goodness.
Man, look at some of these faces here. Benny Olsen.
I don't remember Jamil
Is that
Walker
Lyle
scoring
Yorks?
goals.
Was Lyle trying to sign some of those players?
Marco on the corner.
Whoa. Hey.
What a goal that is.
That's a screamer.
The last day for MLS at RFK Stadium. It's been an amazing venue over the years, just seeped in history. Championships won, U.S. national team games galore. Oh, Ben Olsen gets in the mix. He doesn't get the goal. That's okay, though. Oh, Luciano Amelia.
Hey, still got it.
And you got to give DC United some credit, too. I think it's fantastic that they brought back all these former players to come back and be a part of this last day in the stadium.
He looks shockingly similar to how he did 10 years ago when he won the Golden Boot.
Yeah.
Done a couple beat tests, you know?
All right, that's it for us. We love the Legend Game. Say goodbye to RFK, but next year we'll bring Audi Field. We're going to go to break right now. When we come back, we are predicting the 2017 Audi MLS Cup playoffs on Decision Day Live, presented by AT&T. Stick with us. Who's going to win? You got to stick around to find out.
Official MLS gear, only at MLSstore.com.
The game you love, in your hand. Breaking news when it happens. All the best match highlights. Real-time stats. And live scores. Hundreds of live match streams. Follow your favorite clubs. Anywhere. Anytime. The newly designed MLS app. Download for free today.
Welcome back to Decision Day Live, presented by AT&T. What a day it was. All 11 games at one time. I could not keep up with it. I had 11 TVs in front of me. It just wasn't happening. We hope you had fun with that, but now the real fun begins. The 2017 Audi MLS Cup playoffs begin on Wednesday with the knockout round. 2 games Wednesday, 2 games Thursday, all of them on Unimas. You get pregame and postgame shows right here. Our own Susanna Collins will head those up. Let's look at the bracket. That's what this is all about now. Who's going to lift the Philip F. Anschutz Trophy? Matt and Jimmy are at the board. They're going to make some predictions, but they're going to do so with our help. Guys, show us what's up, and then let's take the lay of the land.
No, we're going to let my friend James take the Western Conference first.
Okay, so we go with the West?
Yeah.
Why don't we start with the Houston Dynamo versus my beloved Sporting Kansas City?
Who you got?
Well, historically, Kansas City struggles. But I'm feeling like something can change. Yes, I think they're going to do it.
All right.
I was waiting for you to jump in there. You
no,
I tried to give it dramatic
I think you're
pause. We want to ask around.
I actually.
But because Houston did well against them a few weeks ago and has a good record against them, Kansas City seems like a wounded animal right now, and I think sometimes the wounded animal comes with some.
I got Houston, man. I think you got to go with the home team in these knockout rounds.
Jeff, where you
I got Houston.
I'm done.
I'm going to go with Houston as well.
Houston as well?
Yeah.
Way to go out on the limb
I
there,
think
Jeff.
the smart money is on Houston, but this is MLS, and the smart money is always stupid. So you got to go with the team that can't win on the road to win on the road.
Like in penalties.
I think
that logic doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I got the tiebreaker. I don't follow that logic.
No, we still want to hear from Kaylin and Susanna.
Yeah, well, that's true.
We know what
I think
Kaylin's
you guys
gonna
are
say.
Houston. Come on, they're going.
I'm with Jimmy.
Yes,
really?
thank you.
Okay, so now it's tied, and now I am
like an intangible kind of thing.
Exactly. No,
All the
I just
stats
kind
are
of feel.
against
I feel like they're due. You know.
Exactly.
I feel like
yeah, that's it.
So Weeby.
it's their time.
Okay, so we have now it's 3-3. Shout out to Joel Weeby in Kansas City. He thinks it's Kansas City. I think it's Houston. So put Houston through. Sorry,
All right,
Weeby. Brotherly
All right,
love.
cool. Good talk.
All right.
All right.
And so then down here.
Yeah, then we have the Whitecaps versus the San Jose Earthquakes. I think Kaylin made a good point earlier with regard to them having the better momentum going into this game. Vancouver had been feeling pretty good about themselves, puffed chests 5 weeks ago. Social media getting a little upset that you guys weren't giving them enough love. And now they're coming into this game with their heads down. They're still playing at home, but the Quakes just went back there last week and got a 1-1 result. So you got to think they have some confidence going into this one. My vote is for the Earthquakes. So my two former clubs. I'm taking my two former clubs. So it's not like it's speaking from the heart. You know, it's like the heart.
Let's start it with you guys. Give us your votes. We're going to tally these things up and figure it out. Caitlin, Susanna?
San Jose. I've completely turned around on them. They have momentum going. Just the energy coming from last week, from today's game.
Hopping on that train?
I'm on the train. I already admitted I was wrong.
I have been camp Whitecaps.
I mean, you really don't lose very much.
That's true.
I've been on board with Vancouver for a long time, so I'm going to stay loyal to my. So, yeah.
2-1. 2-1. Jeff, you're talking about their record, which is 13 wins for home teams, 3 wins for away teams. I assume that means you're going Vancouver, too?
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's 3-2, correct?
Yeah, I'm going Vancouver.
You're going to 4? So that's it. It's Vancouver. Our votes don't matter. It doesn't matter. Move it through.
Voting always matters.
All right. We got the seating right there?
Yeah, I think we got the seating right, because it's we got 1-4, 2-3.
Okay.
I mean, it's pretty basic. We're pretty boilerplate.
I'm going to let you guys handle it all the way through
I was trying to make
MLS Cup.
Something different here.
All right, let's hear it when we get there. Let's get to the East.
Let's go to the East.
Right. Let's go to the East. To me, again, Atlanta at home over Columbus. Columbus has been playing really well. They impressed me today at NYCFC. But I think Atlanta is the second best team in the league. I'm picking Atlanta to advance. James?
Yeah, I'm probably going to go with Atlanta as well. I want to say Columbus because there's something about them.
Did you play there too?
No, I didn't. Chivas USA is not in the league anymore. They wouldn't have made the playoffs anyway, let's be honest.
They were. All right, boys, what do you got? Atlanta, Columbus.
I like Columbus because they're not afraid, but I'm going with the home team in Atlanta.
All right, that's 3-0. Jeff, you going 4-0?
I'm going Atlanta.
Okay, well.
Yeah.
We're out of here. Let's move Atlanta through.
No, before I move them through, I think the Red Bulls are going to upset the Fire. So I have the 6th seed advancing. Anyone else going once?
I'll take the Red Bulls.
Yeah,
no pressure situation. We don't know what Bastian Schweinsteiger's situation is either.
No, but Dax McCarty's going to play like 3 guys. You know, he's going to fill in for Bastian Schweinsteiger. It's a lot of emotion in this one. This is like a matchup. Isn't this every playoffs? These two teams face each other?
Feels like
when Chicago makes it.
Yeah. Olden times, that was the case. 2-1. Susanna, where are you going with this one?
Obviously, Chicago.
Right.
Come on now.
2-2.
I think this is the most evenly matched of the knockout round, but I'm going to give the edge to Chicago being at home.
3-2 Fire, guys.
I'm going to go Red Bulls.
3-3 Ali.
This is a tough one.
I'm sorry, we put you in this position, man.
That ain't right. Come on now.
I actually think Chicago. I just did that on purpose.
Listen, I think Chicago's been backing in, and they definitely have the firepower. But I think I'd go with the Red Bulls on this one.
There it is.
All right, so then we get 1-6 and right there.
Okay, I'm going to let you guys take it from here. The voting process it's a little wonky, so get us into those conference semis and get it on to MLS Cup.
We'll start West.
Okay, let's start out West then. And the Timbers versus the Houston Dynamo. The Timbers got to be feeling good about themselves up to this point. Some good momentum going into it. They're not backing into the playoffs, as Ali just mentioned about about Chicago Fire. Over 2 legs, I think they have too much quality. They have what I think is going to be the MVP in their team, and Diego Valeri. And I think the Timbers goes through over 2 legs.
Yeah, I agree with you. So I think we're
we don't even hear votes.
Right. So it's going to be the Cascadia Derby out here. What do you got?
Yeah, I think the Sounders, based on their experience from last year, having a good core of guys, I think actually Clint Dempsey not being involved allows Nicholas Ladero to step up. I think that was a very good point that someone made earlier. Could have been you that made that point.
Yeah, somebody smart.
Somebody really smart.
Somebody who's good looking.
And I think, again, over 2 legs.
Make another point?
I think the Sounders will do it as well, and we're going to have a fantastic Western Conference Finals if it's the Timbers and Sounders, the last 2 MLS Cup champions, vying for the chance to go to MLS Cup.
So who is going to go to MLS Cup? James?
We're not going to pick it yet. Let's go to the East.
Okay, let's go to the East. Okay, East first.
Yeah.
To me, I mean, NYCFC Atlanta, NYCFC were so good a couple months ago. They have not reclaimed that form. And I know Atlanta struggled a little bit down the stretch here. I think they've only won one of their last 5 games. But I think with Almiron back, I think they can.
I'm going to, say the same. I think NYCFC feels one-dimensional at times, with just David Villa. If he's not scoring or if he's marked tightly, it's harder for other guys to step up, whereas Atlanta can beat you a number of different ways.
Yeah.
And I think that gives them the advantage over 2 legs.
Yeah, and I think Toronto is going to score a bunch on the Red Bulls. I don't think there's any doubt about that one.
Yeah, I'm not even going to say anything.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
So now we go to the Final Four. You want to start out West?
Yeah, I'll start out West. God, this is so tight. I think you can flip a coin here when there's 2 games between these 2 teams. I think it's going to be awesome that fans can travel back and forth to this one and kind of give that even added atmosphere that it already has, I guess, the Cascadia Cup rivalry. I think the Sounders maybe run out of luck at this point, and I think the Timbers get in here and get to the final.
I would disagree, but
okay,
that's
hold
fine.
on, fine. Let me put it back.
Well, do we want to go to the panel?
Do we want to go to the panel for this one? Because I can actually feel heat from this area. Jimmy doesn't know what he's talking about. Here we go. Let's go throw the panel. Go ahead, Weeby. Or Allie.
I got Portland. I think they've got a tremendous team, and they showed up today. So I've got Portland.
I think it's going to be the same. I think the Dempsey thing hangs over them. If they get to this point, no Jordan Morris. I know Nico Lodero can be a difference maker, but I just think without that point up top to take diversion away from the Rodriguezes, the Bruins of the world, you don't have that special player all the way up front. I think in the playoffs, that's what matters.
It's going to be a fantastic game. But I'm going to go Portland.
All right. Portland top of the West, potentially getting Fernando Adi back as the playoffs continue. So I would give them the edge.
There we go.
All right.
The people have spoken.
The people have spoken. The people are going to speak on the East as well. I'm actually taking Atlanta to get by.
Wow.
I think their ability to hit you from all angles and with speed, I don't think that the Toronto back line is going to hold up.
I want to agree with you there, but an expansion team, I think at some point their luck's going to run out. I'm going to go to the vote, but I think Toronto's going to get through, and then we can talk about MLS Cup once it happens.
Who's got strong thoughts here?
I'm going to go with Toronto.
Yeah.
They've been the best team all year, and I think they're going to continue that.
All right, Ali, who are you going with? What do you got, man? This is MLS Cup, man. We're dragging here. It's like we don't want to choose between the two.
Yeah, it's hard, team can get beat on any given night, but with this, I got to go with Toronto.
Okay, we got 2 Torontos. I feel like we're going someplace here.
I was convinced today by the performance from Toronto FC. I mean, they went down to Atlanta.
Yeah.
2-2 draw on the road in a tough situation, and just the difference to me also is Javinko on that set piece. That shows you something, a moment of magic when they're down. That is an X factor for sure. I think Toronto FC's got to walk away today with more confidence.
Absolutely.
So it's been overruled?
Yep.
All right, overruled.
Sorry, Doyle.
So Toronto versus Portland. We're going back to Toronto for MLS Cup, gang. Who's going to win?
For me, there's just no way that Toronto loses 2 MLS Cup finals at home. It's just not going to happen. I mean, they're not going to be the Philadelphia Union in the Open Cup final, you know what I mean? I feel like they have more quality than that. I don't think they allow was that too big of a dig? I was going to say the New England Revolution losing 4 MLS Cup finals.
Jay Heaps was here last week.
Yeah, I'm sure he got a couple digs there. So I just don't see Toronto letting that slip through their fingers again. I thought last time they played nervous. I think this time they'll use that experience to their advantage, and I think they'll get through. I think they'll win it.
I think Toronto will actually win it as well.
Rubber stamp it, man. Toronto. Put Toronto through. It's going to be freezing cold. They're accustomed to it. They know what that situation is like, and there's no way these guys, after the disappointment this summer, that changes. You guys going to
It's not summertime in Portland.
I'm already investing in those little hand warmers.
Yeah.
I had them in my boots. Had them in. Oh man.
Yeah, required.
I couldn't speak at the end of the game. My face was
bow
frozen.
down to our new Canadian soccer overlords then? Is that how it goes now?
They've earned it.
America 2017, baby.
I guess that's how it works. We're going to wrap it up from here. You've got a shot there of the Philip F. Amschutz Trophy. That is what everybody's planned for. The Audi 2017 MLS Cup playoffs get started on Wednesday and Thursday. We've got the shows, pregame and postgame. Our own Susanna Collins will be hosting those. Tune in for those. We will be back then. In the meantime, guys, thank you for everything. Jeff Cassar, Ollie Curtis, Jimmy Conrad, Matt Doyle, Kaylin Carr, Susanna Collins. I am Andrew Wiebe. What a day. Decision Day 2017 presented by AT&T. The fans loved it. The players loved it if they were on the right side. Check all the coverage at MLSsoccer.com. We'll see you on Wednesday, everybody.